Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to WCS America round of 16. Well, getting to the very end of 2 long days of StarCraft 2, but they've been damn well worth it, Rotterdam, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been long, but they've been fun. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff, and that's the kind of stuff we want to see as well.
Having said that, I'm a little bit disappointed after that TVT. Take nothing away from Polt. No. He was magnificent in both games, played them absolutely perfectly, and you really couldn't have asked for any more from him, but I just feel like, I don't know, I didn't see the best of Bomber in those games.
No, he looked a little impatient, especially the SCV pool. That's his, like, as Nathaniel said as well, you know, he might be able to get away with something like that against a lesser player, but Polt will be ready. He'll have at least one tank, and it seemed like he was a little impatient. It was almost like, cloak benches, just get it over with, you know.
I mean, the funniest thing is, well, Polt said in the interview in the second map, he wasn't sure what Bomber was doing. He was like, Marine. Oh, no. Banshee. Oh, no. Okay. And then when he realised that he actually didn't know what he was doing, he was like, okay, let's just stay at home, let's build quietly, let's be careful, wait for him to do something crazy. And that's exactly what he did in the end. So I guess you could say Polt played the perfect TVT. Bomber not quite so much, but he's still a strong player. He's still going to play one of the winners of our next match, which is a very intriguing matchup, actually. It's XiGua versus CranK. Now, on the basis of the first 2 games, I think CranK probably has the advantage here, doesn't he?
Yes, he played pretty solid against Bomber, it was, especially game 3, where Johan said as well, like, maybe if he would have done 1 or 2 things different, he could have still won it. CranK is a very solid Protoss player. Also, if you go by the WCS records, CranK has an advantage. He's been incredibly consistent. He's been to the round of 8 before. It was in Season 1 in 2013, so it's been a while. But XiGua, if you look at his round of 32 performance, Paul, what he's played online, maybe going by that, maybe XiGua has the advantage.
Indeed. There is an interesting statistic floating around WCS America right now. There are only 3 players who have made the round of 16 in all 4 seasons.
Okay.
Let me see if I can test you.
All right, well, I know CranK did it for sure.
CranK did it, definitely.
So now I'm just going to think of Season 1, because you say all 4 seasons.
Yep.
So, like, Rion was there, but he is not.
No.
So, Snoot was there, he's not. Moonblade was there, he's not.
So join us after the break when Rotterdam...
So it's not okay, then it's Revival?
Nope. Polt and Tasia. Polt, Tasia and CranK.
But Tasia was not in Season 1.
Yeah, he was.
No, he was not in Season 1. He was playing Korea, but he wasn't in Season 1.
See, you can't even catch Rotterdam out. He's so good.
It might be late, Paul, but it's not that late.
There's no pulling the wool over your eyes. Well done. So let's take a quick look at the bracket of Group D, just so that you're filled in completely as to where we are right now. Well, we have a bit of fun here. Polt is in the gold box, which means he is also advancing to the round of 8. And Bomber now awaits the winner of XiGua versus CranK in our last game. So let's just talk a little bit about this too, in terms of matchup. XiGua in the ZVP right now, it's his best matchup by a long way, so he'll be quite happy on that respect. CranK, on the other hand, is PVZ, also his best matchup, so actually he'll be okay as well. So what do we make of that?
I think this is a really hard one to call. No matter what way you look at it, you could say CranK maybe more experienced, has played a lot of games in GSTL as well, has been practicing with the Axiom dudes for a long time, living in a pro gaming house, and of course Korea has a better infrastructure.
But XiGua has been around forever.
Yeah, that's true. And he's also a little bit of a wild card.
Yeah.
I mean, he did really good at the WCG in 2009 back then.
2011, second.
Yeah, sorry, that's when he lost against MVP in the finals, a long time ago. But it's hard, like XiGua, if he didn't defeat Liquid Hero in the online stage of this tournament, I would say, like, I'll go with CranK. But if you can defeat Hero online while you're playing from China on the American server, that looks really good. And he also defeated his other Chinese teammate, Top. Also, if you go by the region, the Chinese region, I feel the race that's strongest represented there is Protoss. It's a coincidence, guys. It just happens sometimes.
It's just coincidence.
But of course, you have Jim there, you have Maxed, you have Top. So obviously, XiGua is preparing a hell of a lot in this matchup in general. So I think he's pretty well prepared, and maybe because of that, he has a good edge against CranK.
Do we need a different nationality in the quarterfinals, or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter to me, but I'd be happy to see XiGua go there. It's nice for the Chinese guys. They came here with 3, so it would be awesome to see at least one of them make it into the round of 8.
Okay. Final predictions. Do you think CranK still shades this one a little bit?
I was so wrong with my last prediction that I'm just going to stop. It's too late.
Are you following Artos's footsteps? Have you been talking at all to Dan today? Or?
I talk quite a bit with Dan, but normally my predictions are on spot. Just the last one I was wrong.
Okay.
Give me a break, Paul.
All right, I'm going to give you a break. And it's glad that we mentioned Artos's. Happy birthday, Dan, because if you're watching, and I hope you've had a great day. It's now not your birthday in Korea, so you should be stopping celebrating, and you should be watching more StarCraft, not Hearthstone. Just a warning. Right, we're going to get on with our last game, or second to last game here in Group D, and it is going to be a cracker, I think, because these two really want to stay in this tournament, and it's their last chance Saloon. The winner gets the privilege of playing Bomber for the final place in the round of 8. So no pressure right now as we head over to our commentary team for the second to last match in Group D.
Thanks very much, Paul. It's going to be a cracker. He said it himself.
Can we stop with that? And done and dusted?
I haven't said done and dusted forever, and everyone keeps saying like, oh, you keep saying done and dusted. Yeah, it's Paul with his crackers now. He is crackers himself. Anyway, so let's get into our next game, game number 4 here, as we have one of these players, unfortunately, will fall out of the round of 16, but thankfully for them, going into next season, they are still in the round of 32 in Premier, which is the consolation prize at the end of this road. So who is going to take it?
This is, for me, a very interesting match because CranK is a super aggressive Protoss, and XiGua, he's a Chinese Zerg who I think probably has a lot of experience defending against the kind of aggression that we are going to see out of CranK. And I actually haven't seen CranK play recently versus Zerg, but that's just how I've known him to develop and to get more known. You know, I remember back when he was teamless before joining Axiom, teaming up with Total Biscuit, who sent him to his first MLG. Shortly after that, I lost to him in another MLG. Anyway, he's one of those Protosses that has always liked playing extremely aggressive, and he was one of the first few guys, even back in Wings of Liberty, to go for like 4 gateways pressure into Immortal pushes, all this kind of thing. He was one of the first guys also to really move out with a probe to proxy pylons and go for aggression, and really escort that with Zealot and Stalker. So he's a very intelligent guy with aggression. The handshake here was almost denied by accident.
Almost.
But yeah, it seemed like they basically picked very generic and standard maps for the matchup, which I'm not surprised about. Did you know that XiGua means watermelon?
I did.
How?
Because I wrote the fact.
Okay.
Thank you, Todd.
Good job, Cat Ice.
No problem, no problem. So, yeah, we have CranK here as our first combatant. And I'm very, very curious to see how he's going to play here. I would like to see CranK move on forward. He's been one of the fan favorites of Korean Protosses, moving over to like foreign territories for quite a while now. After he had that change up, going from Slayers to Axiom after that sponsorship from Total Biscuit, and became the captain of the team, which is nice to see. They put a lot of faith in CranK, and likewise, he's led Axiom to a good standing. They've got a really nice deep roster on them. It's nice.
Okay, here's another one. Did you know that XiGua played Warcraft 3 before, and his nickname was Rabbit?
I knew he played Warcraft 3. Who was it? Wasn't he on? Was he the guy that was on Mouse Sports? I think he was Mouse Sports, right? XiGua?
I'm not even sure. I don't think so. His nickname was Rabbit.
I'm gonna look it up.
He was an Orc player. He was pretty good, actually. So this guy, another big fan of Blizzard games. Having been playing RTS for a long time, I can appreciate that.
Oh yeah, it was called Rabbit.
Yeah. Why didn't you believe me?
I mean, I did believe you. I'm not saying I didn't. It's just kind of cool. I can't remember if it was him who was on Mouse Sports or not. I think it was.
It's funny because in Warcraft 3 he had a style with Orc where he was playing a lot with Wyverns. They were flying units. I don't know if you know the game well. And you did a lot of hit and run with them. Like you basically counter-attacked only. And he's a Zerg player now. I'm actually surprised. The only thing you should be playing is Mutas and base trading. If you think about it, yeah. But I guess other players liked to play similarly, I guess, with flying units and run around like Haziops, for example. That doesn't mean he's gonna go mass targets. And if Haziops had been Zerg, I think the only thing he would have ever done is Mutas, because he played Gargoyles and like he took the islands, and he was very patient already back in Warcraft 3.
Wait, Gargoyles weren't Undead not very good? If I recall, like
yeah, they were good.
They were good. Undead was good.
Well, not really, but
I mean,
it was like the better strategy.
Oh, okay.
All right, CranK here on Polar Knights. Oh, by the way, CranK, he was one of the first guys who I think really focused on getting Blink and +2 very quickly. He did it with a more defensive style that we see now with a quick third.
Yeah.
But we could be seeing him do something like this, yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Game number 1 between these two guys, and to correct myself, it was Maxed that was on Mouse Sports, not XiGua. But spawning up to the northern position as our blue Protoss, representing Axiom, it is CranK. And down to the southern position as our red Zerg, representing Invictus Gaming, it's XiGua.
I knew that Maxed was on mouse because I was on this team at the same time.
Darn, I got the wrong name.
We went to the team house once in Guangzhou with him and Sase to practice for a while.
Nice.
Very, very dedicated players. And so is XiGua. XiGua actually, I think XiGua, Xiaoti were like the original guys in China when StarCraft came out to practice the most by far and on the Korean ladder like straight away. And they were doing very, very well. XiGua at some point was super, super high on the Korean ladder, which is a very, very hard thing to do. So ladder's not everything. It's good to practice there, but we saw Tunming, even though he's in the top 50 Grandmaster on the Korean server, he wasn't able to make it out of the group. So that does not always mean everything.
Tournament play can always be that little bit more different, as does actually see this probe very early moving out here. There's already a forge going down, and that's a hatchery first.
He's gonna have a drone down there.
Yeah.
He's gonna take more than one drone to make sure he doesn't get cannon here. And I do think that CranK actually means to cannon at this point. If he can get into this area behind the gas and the minerals, and he gets the pylon down, this is gonna be blocked pretty well.
At least he's reacting to it.
So far, with just one drone. Oh!
He's gonna wall this in.
Yeah, this is why you need more than one drone. You need to block each side.
Yeah, and now that's really, really annoying.
That cannon is going to be very far. Do you think he can move out by making the cannon? You see he's placing himself to try and push the probe
he's
out.
trying.
Oh, he could cancel that. He's going to cancel. Gets the cannon.
And then wouldn't need to go, like, couldn't drones actually sit on that cannon and kill it off eventually?
That cannon is very, very far.
Yeah, I don't
have to say.
Well, we've seen cannons reach a little bit further. He's actually taking the second one.
958 points, so these cannons that he makes now definitely going to finish after the hatchery. A second probe was sent there just in case. I think XiGua just cancels from here.
But also with the cannon positioning, if he keeps an eye on that drone that's going down, anything that tries to run past these two cannons, it's very difficult from the main, so he can't really do a whole lot. So he cancels and gets this extra drone out there. At least now he has 2 drones out.
This was almost blocked.
Ooh.
And yeah, the second cannon definitely shouldn't be cancelled here by CranK. He's gonna block the other base. And XiGua, it's funny, like he plays like he doesn't care about the cannons. The problem is, as you say, that second cannon blocking the path.
Yeah.
Oh, Zerglings.
I mean, they can't run past.
They almost ran by. Oh my god, he turned around like glass again.
You just can't run past there for now. He's going to have to wait for a lot of Zerglings. And now these 2 bases that we've seen XiGua take are so spread out, so vulnerable to something that CranK will want to do on the follow-up. So what is CranK going to opt to do is the big question.
Yeah, I don't think that CranK anticipated those Zerglings to go for a run-by, so he hasn't made a cannon back at home, but now he's going to have to.
That was cute. He used the Overlorders to tank so the Zerglings could get out. Very nice there by XiGua.
All right. Let's see, there is a queen in position here to maybe drop down a Cryptumor in his main, but I don't see what will make much sense. This is a bit weird, that placement here. He hasn't gone for a spine. I don't think a spine would be good to try and buzz this. Oh, the Lynx got in.
Yeah, that was nice.
Hell, CranK. That's not supposed to happen.
He was trying to throw down a pylon with a secondary probe coming along, but he could have thrown down the one that was in the wall, at least. But he's now going to have to chase that around. So a little bit of a scrappy match to start things off with this. 7 drones on the way, jeez.
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made. Never again.
I like that a Cryptumor, okay, I think I can see why he made this. He's basically going to cover the center area in his main with the Cryptumor. And he's going to spread that to that base, I don't even know what to call it, basically that base that he has right outside his main. And he's going to start spreading from there, even though there isn't even a queen on that base, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, just jumps on down. So nice little preemptive maneuver here by XiGua, and he's keeping these Zerglings alive, which is pretty good as well. He got a probe kill for his troubles. And
I'm really, really glad that you can say XiGua properly. Red, I should take notes.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I was practicing because I used to cast him in some other tournaments. Wow, and even uses the queen to tank for the drones to get past. You are cool.
Did anyone get killed? I don't think so.
No drones. No drones died then during that. That was sick.
That was sick. Can you believe that with this opener, the only one that has killed walkers is XiGua?
Yeah,
what?
It's
How
kind
does
of
this
weird.
happen? This was sick the way he played this. And I think from there, XiGua, if he just gets a roach run now, which he is, he makes like a few roaches, he gets rid of the 3 cannons. He can even take this base. He's gonna completely snowball in drones very, very soon, because he has the 3 queens that he needs to inject. Actually, no, he's missing one. Oh, no, it's there.
But now he needs to like break out of that little bit of contain himself, because if not, then CranK has a great but CranK has a great staging point for an assault. Warp gate's about to finish. He's got 3 extra gateways finishing up, plus 1's about to finish up as well.
But which proxy pylon does he use? He only has the 2 in front of that. Well, at that natural of XiGua.
I guess just swaps in there.
Yeah, but then it will take quite a while to reach any of the bases, and I guess that's the time where XiGua's gonna want to look to bust this. I'm surprised he hasn't made roaches actually yet. He waited a very long time. I think what you want to do ideally is wait till the last second, and he starts 14 Zerglings.
That's the wrong choice.
They are wait. Most of them started inside of his main.
Okay.
So they're gonna rally through this. Actually, all of them started inside of his main. He hasn't made anything on the lavas that are outside.
I mean, if he just warps in Zealots there and holds them at those cannons before they actually run past, I mean, I think he's going to wait for speed to run past, but if he just warped in Zealots from there and just held, it's the roaches come along, then that should be okay. But this is really annoying over on this left-hand side.
This is what I was talking about, by the way. CranK starting the +2 and Blink very quickly behind this. This is, I think, when most players do that, they will go, oh, the Mothership Core, okay, it's dead. Most players, when they do this +2 and Blink, they will take a very quick third, usually with it. But in this game, I don't think that's CranK's plan at all. I think CranK is going to want to make a bunch of sentries, maybe, to let them charge up on energy, spend his gas with, and then later on go for an assault. Remember what Hero did when he played against TLO? I think it was in Sao Paulo on this map. He did a similar style with +2 Blink, some Immortals, a lot of sentries, and then he scouted with Hallucination, and he's like, you know what, I'm just going to kill you with that one timing. And he attacked with, like, I don't know, 120 supply total. He had so much, it was basically an unstoppable attack at this point.
XiGua, I mean, for all the craziness that has happened in this early game, his crisis management here has still been really good. I mean, look how many roaches he's got out. He's got 19 roaches out with 6 more on the way. He's going to have 25 roaches out by the time CranK's kind of just gearing up for this Immortal Blink +2 thing. This is more roaches than I at any point anticipated him having out, despite all of the craziness.
This time, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we did see another Chinese Zerg get quite a few roaches out himself earlier.
True.
And big supply block here. He's already trailing behind on supply, which is normal against roaches, but CranK, he had to anticipate that. You see, he starts some emergency pylons. Now with the 2 extra ones, he's getting the production time. Gateways are gonna go down, and this could be a big 2-base timing that will be hit here out of CranK. Only 4 sentries. I think he definitely needs more.
Yeah, I think so as well. He needs a lot of space control if he's going to go for this.
Make that 3.
Yeah, loses one of them pretty quickly. And most of those roaches actually get out. If he was able to get that cybernetics core, then that's really dire straits, and he is going to.
Do you see that one roach in the middle? That was a sitting duck.
Poor little guy. He sacrificed himself for the greater good, Todd. They got a cybernetics core. So that's a pretty good trade. This is not too bad. Warp Prism harassment on this right-hand side. But
I need some walker skill.
Finally.
Oh, wow, 7 actually in total. That's pretty good. That means 50 probes to 56 drones. That base out of position, that third base by XiGua, I think this is going to be the target of the next attack of CranK, basically. Just because the reinforcements are going to take a while to rejoin. The creep spread is not that good, to be honest. It started early, but XiGua has not been dedicating enough to it that it's actually reached the middle, you know? So it's still a very pushable base. And I do think that we're going to see a timing in a moment by CranK. He's not spending his money very well, to be honest. He has quite a bit of money.
I mean, there's not really a whole lot he can do other than go for a push.
He's just swapped in some extra units, but I don't know. He needs to chrono boost his gateways maybe, because you never want to have money at this point.
I think because the cybernetics core died off, he didn't really just want to warp in exclusively Zealots.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Now, trying to catch a few of these roaches, but Burrow is there and available to him, and he doesn't have an observer with the army just yet.
He's almost there.
Yeah, he's coming along. So,
He wasted quite a few force fields here. He doesn't have all that many force fields plus Guardian Shields, so he's going to have to be careful. Oh, there's Infestors on the way. 2 are about to come out.
And he had Pathogen Glands already finish.
Wow.
Unless for some reason he cancelled it, but I don't think he did.
2 is not enough. The thing is, he's going to have to take the fight, I think. And having Burrow here, I'm scared that he engages, gets force fielded, burrows, and then starts losing a lot of roaches and realizes it slowly.
He needs to make those sentries
great
pop.
surround!
Whoa!
Oh my god, what are these force fields?
Okay, those force fields just do not help. The roaches, 360 degrees worth of death, as well as a fungal growth in the middle of all of that. XiGua, despite everything that happened in this game, gets a great surround. Drones come off the line to save everything. Reinforcements only need to come out. And from there on, this army is absolutely toast. He lost a lot of roaches, but he cleaned that up with major gusto. That was great.
And, well, CranK is actually salvaging this fight pretty well, but I think there's just going to be too much by XiGua. Man, those force fields. To code Destiny, this is not darts on the freaking dartboard.
No, just throw them anywhere, man. That was, but again, a great move by XiGua to just really power in there and just be completely all over CranK. CranK just did not have the crisis management of Herbal to him then.
CranK's going for the desperation War Prism with 4 Zealots in it to try and snipe something while the units are busy counter-attacking back at home. So if he was able to barely defend and kill stuff across the map in the meantime, say one of the base or a bunch of drones, maybe he would have a chance, but at this point, it's going to be very tough for him to come back in this. Even though in supply-wise, he's not doing too bad. He's trailing a little bit behind, and he's remade quite a few Immortals already. I think he's going to go for another wave.
Yeah, I think
Even
so
though
too.
he knows he's against Infestors, but he's like, you know what? He's actually killing quite a few units here.
He got 22 workers
Oh my
in
God.
total during all of that, and he's
50
killed 2
probes
more.
to 53 drones. The thing is, at this point, XiGua is committed to making a lot of units. He knows there's going to be another wave, even though he doesn't spot any basically non-third or a third being taken by his opponent. He knows that there's going to be another wave for sure. So that's all he's preparing for. You look at the production tab, there is not a single drone queued up in there.
And a few more Infestors now on the way to, once again, try and make these sentries pop. If he can just land a single fungal on those sentries and then continue to do so, really fall very quickly. A good Zealot harassment still on his right
The Mothership
side.
Core is out of position.
What's it
Chasing
doing?
a single link, which is, it's not even going to kill. He
Yeah,
needs
Burrow.
that for the fight.
Roach has come back to clean this up, but he does give away the positioning over on this left-hand side. He has 200 energy on that Mothership Core, but it's not with the army.
Maybe he waits for it. I don't know. This is...
I think he kind of has to.
Yeah, but then the more time you look at the production tab, every minute that you wait...
it's bad, obviously.
Yeah. A good drawing with force fields here from left to right, just starting from the hatch. Could do it. That's what he goes for. He traps a few units. Oh, the Infestors. If they're force fielded out, it's going to be very hard for them to fog up. Oh my god, the sitting ducks, man.
Uh-oh, that is a lot of units in there. Infested Terrans actually rained down. He can't get in range to get some proper fungals down, so he goes for the Infested Terrans instead. But the supplies here for CranK are actually going in his favor. These 4 Immortals in this army are doing absolutely massive amounts of work. XiGua here through the second assault is actually falling. +2 and Blink with these Immortals doing so much work. XiGua not able to hold on throughout all of this, and wow, CranK is able to do it. Second time lucky. Well, GG, although does not look too happy about that result. He may have been a bit nervous going into that.
I think he was on the verge of losing. It's really XiGua fell apart. He didn't really want to commit completely to the counterattack. He's like, you know what, you got 2 Immortals, the third one on the way. I'm not even going to go for it. So he came back home to try and defend against the War Prism and the Zealots. He defended properly, but that attack, he had to be flanking from many sides. That after that first wave of force field, CranK was in such a good position. He had +2, he had Blink, he had a bunch of Immortals against just 1-0 Roaches and Links, a few Infestors here and there that ended up basically being force fielded out so far that they couldn't fungal the big chunk of this army. I think probably, I would say, XiGua's best bet maybe would be to stick around middle of the map. As soon as CranK walked by, take the Watchtower, and then come in from behind with his entire army, but the reinforcement come in from the other side. It's easy to say when you see the entire game, obviously, and it was a very difficult fight to engage into well for him. He did good with the first fight, but behind this, CranK was just played well enough to make sure he wouldn't lose that.
Yeah, forcing himself on that position and establishing... I mean, one of the heroes of that last engagement, I feel, was the Observer, of all things, that was keeping tabs on that space between the third and then towards the normal, natural location of XiGua, as he always knew his opponent's army movement, knew where the Infestors were, knew when to throw down the force fields preemptively to establish his dominance over that location. And again, really good second push there by CranK, who's now 1 game away from advancing on to play against Bomber. Slap yourself in the face, man. You need to wake up and get going, get winning.
It's funny how those pushes were like the opposite of one another. The first one was like really not good at all, but the second was perfect.
It was brilliant.
I said it, man. That line from left to right at the hatchery is where you want to split the Zerg army. You want to trap 10 to 15 roaches in, massacre them, and then go for the next wave. And he did that very, very well.
Units rendered useless there, and now XiGua has a mountain to climb in the form of Mr. Axiom CranK as we get into game number 2 here for WCS America. Round of 16 here in Group D. One of these players advances on to play against Bomber for that last round of 8 spots. As we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner, our blue Protoss. Currently 1 game up, and representing Axiom, it is CranK. And up to the top right-hand corner, our red Zerg, representing Invictus Gaming, all the way from China, it is XiGua. And don't forget, guys, after these next 2 series, we have our round of 8 drawing live for you here on the broadcast. So don't go anywhere once our final series is concluded.
Pretty excited for the drawing, man.
That was good. That was good.
Every time I see those matchups, there cannot be any bad matchups.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's wait. Actually, who has gone through in total? If we really think about this, obviously Probe's already moving out here for CranK. So very, very quick.
Yeah, he's playing Frost the way a lot of Protosses have decided to play on it lately to try and counter those quick hatcheries from the opponent. Again, XiGua in the previous game, he wanted to go for the hatch first, and it just seems to be something he likes to do often. So doing that, CranK, he basically makes sure that he either, if he scouts first, he makes sure that his opponent goes for a pull first. If he scouts him second or even third, well, which I guess second, because he will send out another probe, he can cannon it a lot of the time.
And coming back to what I was saying before about the round of 8, currently we have Oz, Hyun, Alicia Revival, Tasia Arthur, Pult, and then the remaining spot to be decided. So the round of 8 here is going to be pretty darn stacked. I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be good.
Yeah, whoever advances as second here will face Tasia, Alicia, or Oz. Yeah. So good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck. They looked really good in their groups, in their respective groups.
CranK, he decided to go for the Nexus first, which I kind of like here. He knew that he had forced the spawning pull first to his opponent. He's going to have to be careful. Remember, some Link sneaked in the previous game. You don't ever want that to happen. So basically the links are going to be made here at the target. He's preparing his probe to make the cannon as soon as possible. Funka already knew. Funka the man.
Good job, Funka. Good job. And that probe's going to stick around just so he can complete the wall off if he needs to. Obviously, he would like a gateway there as well. That would be nice. And those lings are now on the way, whilst he tries to look around at the 3rd base location and then eventually claim that. But the probe is heading up there just at the right time to be able to spot that.
Yeah, to confirm it's there. And this is weird of a build by XiGua to... I guess he's up against the Forge expand, so you have to go for the 3rd base, but he was forced into pull first, then he made a hatch, he made some links to secure that, and now he starts the 3rd base. So this feels a little bit old school here, compared to what we've seen more recently with the Zergs really enjoying to open very, very greedy. And this was, again, forced by CranK here. XiGua's hand was forced into going basically into the slower bases that you would not get as that late usually.
And do you have any particular favor of what you would like to see from CranK here? Anything that really springs to mind, or are you just kind of like other of us, just like watching this as it goes along?
He won the first game with a 2 base, so I thought it would be a good idea to maybe play a little bit more macro and with a 3rd base on this map. But because of the position and the way he's opened, which I'm sure he's satisfied about right now, this might encourage him to go into some kind of 2 base again. You see he's getting +1. He could go for something like a quick robo, a war prism, and then 3 additional gateways. He could go for just the 3 additional gateways, 4 gate pressure into Immortal all-in. This is something, again, that I talked about before. And he could go into something similar as well, like before, where he gets the bling, the +2, and then does the 2 base. There are a lot of possibilities. What I would like to see, obviously, personally, just for entertainment purposes, is a 3rd base, and he's going for his target after starting the +1.
Oh wow! And that
this is going to be actually the cannon is quite far away from that wall. This could be very easily spotted by the Zergling here, but I don't think XiGua realized that it's going to be there, obviously. So I think he's going to send in some overlords, and would be funny if he's like scouts the entire main, misses this, and then the Zerglings was there all along and could have spotted it easily.
Yeah, and that probe now, well, it gets spotted that that's heading out for the third base, but the Zergling will need to go check down. Oh, wait, no, he's actually not going for the third base. He's going all the way around. And this
XiGua took his gases fairly late, by the way.
Wow. Are we going to see extra gateways along with this +1? I mean, I'd be surprised if we didn't. Yeah. There has to be something like that.
Yeah. Usually you start them at about the time when your warp gate is halfway through done, so...
And the probe got spotted as well with the pylon going down, so I don't think it's going to do a whole lot.
Oh, great positioning on those gates. This is going to be hard to spot for XiGua. You would have to sacrifice the overlords at around the natural of CranK. Great vision on the map by XiGua. He has basically the entire base of his opponent surrounded with overlords and links. You can't go anywhere.
At least he sees the Phoenix. That's always nice, but you will lose an overlord in the process. And now we have a robot at the front as well here for CranK.
I think CranK wanted to go for pressure, but on this map and in this position, I mentioned it before, it's very, very hard to get proxy pylon down. And look, now he's going home with that one probe that he had sent out, so I think he might go into a third base instead. And maybe Colossus behind those Phoenixes. That would make a lot of sense. Since he doesn't have any Twilight yet, I don't think he's going to be starting Blink or +2 anytime soon, obviously. Okay, he goes for the third base. Colossus, you think? I think good chance we see Colossus.
Yeah, I think it has to be. I mean, technically, XiGua saw that third as it went down. Now starts speed as well as roach speed. So I think that a lot of pressure could be coming his way, especially from a player like XiGua, who I feel is characterized by something like those big mid-game aggression pushes. A lot of overlords in production here to free up the supply, but of course he is losing some in the process as well here as CranK continues this pressure.
To be honest, XiGua has done a very good job of saturating 3 bases very quickly. Look, he's got ideal, optimal saturation on 3 bases. He could go for a timing here with lots of roaches. See, he's getting 4 overlords. Okay, he's actually gonna drone a little bit more, which is surprising, especially since there is those Phoenixes being super annoying and sniping stuff. He goes for a Hydra's Den behind this. It kind of feels like he's being forced into going for Roach Hydra, which, if you're a Protoss here, you're gonna be pretty happy with this. I mean, he's going for Colossi tech, so especially CranK, I think if he identifies this early enough and plays it right, you can't really lose, I feel, in this situation. It will be very, very hard for Zerg to make this work. He will need anti-Colossus for sure, either Corruptors or Vipers, but they would take quite a while. He would take quite a while for him to reach it, so I think CranK, if he's given time here, and if he gets the death ball that he wants to get, and by that I mean just a good army composition with a bunch of Colossus, blink and +2, and then hits the timing, it's gonna be quite deadly. It's for XiGua to make something happen now. And I think XiGua, he might want to play quite greedy against this. Even though he's getting 9 Hydralisks, those could just be to try and defend against the Phoenixes. We'll see if he drones behind this, or if he starts something like an Infestation Pit. Or a Spire.
Left arm for side base here as well. And you did spot a lot of these Hydralisks that have already come out. Well, actually, Ling's got into the main of all things, so good run by.
Oh, Queen is being targeted across the map. There is Hydralisk. He's gonna try and run down there.
Oh, I think he's being distracted by the Lings in the main, losing one of those Phoenix. But the Queen did end up dying in the process, so but also the Lings got cleaned up. So I think that what we're seeing from XiGua, somehow he needs to find one of those answers to the Colossi. I mean, you were mentioning, but you can't do everything at the same time in XiGua's shoes. Obviously, he is limited by how much gas he has.
This is weird. Okay, Infestation Pit goes down finally. I have to wonder, is this for Swarm Host or Viper? I'm leaning more towards Viper at this point, but this is going to be a fairly late Hive compared to what he could have gotten if he had made that earlier. Again, Hyun was one of the guys who basically made the Infestation Pit before even making his Hydralis Den to make sure he could get the Vipers out as soon as possible. And because at this point, having the Hydralisks out, it really doesn't achieve anything for XiGua. He could have just made 9 to defend against the Phoenixes and stop there, but he chose to make a lot. So basically, if he doesn't attack with this, he would have made all of this for pretty much nothing. And he still doesn't start a Hive. I have to wonder, does he go for some kind of maxed out attack with Roach Hydra, trades, and then goes into Swarmos? That's also a possibility here. He starts the Hive.
Yeah, that's got to be the only answer. I think that XiGua is just kind of stuck. This is going to be hard for him to engage into fully, and he will eventually spot this base on the left-hand side, but it's going to take a while. He can kind of anticipate the fact, though, that there is going to be other bases up and running.
Yeah, he's on pure Roach Hydra and he's about to attack as Thermal Lens finished. This is bad news. Wait,
Yeah. Oh, Immortal.
Where are you going?
Free price. Oh, actually, well, for the cost of roaches, a few roaches, not terrible, but Immortal
free.
is quite wild. Yeah, yeah. True. Okay.
This is going to be hard for XiGua to make this work. He's doing it right. He's attacking on many fronts, but there is a Photon Overcharge available.
Wait a minute. There's actually only 4 sentries. They need to use force fields properly if they're going to go for this engagement. They're trying to cut off some other out on the right-hand side. The left-hand side flank, though,
Oh, this is surrounded. He needs to move down. Move down.
Yeah, he needs to move those Colossi. He really does. The Roaches, actually, they could be focusing on them on the right-hand side, but they don't for now. But there isn't actually that many units left. He gets on
nice
top of the Colossi. One of them ends up falling. Solo in the second. Can it just needs to go to the left-hand side and kill the
He's not
fourth?
targeting it.
Well, the Zealots do find a space over to the left-hand side, but he will end up bringing that down, and the Hydralisks on the high ground also brought down quite a few probes.
Yeah, but on the other side of the map, some Zealots are going nuts over this base here. They're even killing some Roaches.
But I think killing off that Colossus count here and denying quite a bit of the income at that third base, I think this is a great position for XiGua.
Yeah, I think if he goes for a follow-up attack with some Vipers, there's not going to be any Templars out anytime soon. There is no Templar archives by CranK at all in this game. So. And also, I don't think he knows that this is coming. Last he saw the main of... Oh, actually, he saw that the Hive was on the way. So I'm surprised that CranK is not actually getting his Templar Archive. He has to know that this is what's going to come. He has to know that Vipers are going to attack him. Or maybe he's hoping somehow that he's going to be Ultras, but even then, you know, he's getting Colossus, not Immortal, so it doesn't make much sense. The Void Race, I really feel like they're useless against this composition. I never understand why so many players still get them anyway. I know you need to respect them, and if you don't respect them, it goes bad. But in this case, against Roach, Hydra, against a player that knows there was already a bunch of Void Race out, they're never going to do too much.
Yeah.
And no Templar Archive still. This is bad news. You never want to face Vipers when you don't have one Templar Archive.
I mean, the one defense for him getting Void Rays is that there isn't really that many Hydralisks out. There's only 7 currently, with 2 more being added on. 48 Roaches. They're the big bulk of this army. But at the same time, they're probably just going to rip through the rest of the ground army before the Void Rays can even really do a whole lot.
The Vipers are coming in. They were spotted by that one Phoenix that actually just went into the main of XiGua. At this point, CranK knows exactly. He might hallucinate some Colossus if he realizes that
Grab and
this could
tag.
help.
Grab and tag brings down Void Ray as well as one of those Colossi. And a lot of that army actually gets sealed out there for a second, but the Vipers have almost done their job. Aside from that one Colossus that's still really going ham on this army, XiGua pulls back for a little bit, tries to get out of range of that Colossus, as well as trying to get out of range out of those force fields, kiting back these Zealots where he can. But CranK holds on for now.
Grab and tag.
Grab and tag.
Well, what do you think? This is Wildlife Channel or something?
I guess that's normally bag and tag.
These are Colossi, man. And Void Race, you don't tag them, you respect them. You grab them and you kill them.
That's not respect.
Yeah, well, you respect them to know that you have to take them out instantly.
Okay,
otherwise
yeah,
they're
that's
the one
respect.
who will take you out.
I will agree, that's respect.
Grab and tag. You're unbelievable.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm tired. But no, he's still continuing on production of the Colossi of the Void Rays. He's continued to hold on to his third base, but how long for now that we see the Remax out for XiGua?
Yeah. This has delayed greatly the +3 attack of CranK, by the way, just because he's been trading so much. He has the gas to start it, but having a Templar Archives now, I think this is when you see he's whopping in Templars. This is when he wants to focus on. I wonder if he starts Storm, because he's going to need a bunch of feedbacks. He's not going to have energy for everything, supposedly. He knows that XiGua is going to be attacking very, very soon. Oh, that squad of Zealot across the map. Very, very smart move. He's trying to go for a snipe again on that base, which is very, very low on the top left-hand side. If this hit during the fight too, I don't think XiGua will be watching.
He needs to go for the pulse once again, but the feedback on one of them, second one will end up falling as well. It's going to have to be Blinding Clouds from here on out with the 3 Colossi on the right-hand side doing a lot of damage, really not being dealt with at all. But there's some Roaches on the high ground actually killing off a lot of the probes that are in this expansion. And XiGua behind this, 25 Roaches in production, 3rd missile attack weapon getting upgraded. And despite these Colossi going completely uncontested, he killed off a lot of the ground army. Now it's time for the Zealots to try and do their job up here, but those Spine Crawlers should hold him at bay.
I could have targeted the hatch. He's going to go for it now. Might be able to get it. It was a nice hold by CranK, but again, XiGua traded well enough that it was another attack. He's going to be able to keep on doing that while he keeps on expanding. He's on 5 bases now. CranK is stuck on 3. CranK is trying to hold on as much as possible in this game. If CranK manages to reach 200 supply with Storm with +3 attack, this composition will not work anymore out of XiGua. So this is why he needs to keep on expanding. He needs to go up to 10 gases, which is going to be on soon, as soon as he takes the gases on that one new base that he just took. And then he can transition into either Ultras, maybe some Brood Lords in support, maybe a big Mutas transition will be possible. But right now he's been trading so much that he has to spend a lot of the gas that he has mined.
Like, with the trades that we've seen XiGua going for constantly and killing off all of the gateway units, I don't think CranK has enough income to replenish compared to what we're seeing from XiGua. Is if we see 1 or 2 pulls be executed here by XiGua, this could be deadly, but look how well he's positioned his High Templars.
This is very smart. He's going to have the Photon Overcharge ready again. He's remade a cannon on his 3rd base, and CranK really trying to hold on here, try to hold on and survive in this game.
It's round 3, basically. As XiGua now, he tries as best he can do. Oop. And does get one of those Vipers.
Oh, this is so interesting. XiGua realized that CranK always sends the Templars in the front by themselves. So he basically baited, pretended that the Vipers would be there, but they weren't, and then he sniped some of the Templars.
Find a way, find a way. There are some of those Colossi that are a little bit vulnerable there. Could have gone for the grab, but actually he's going to pull back. He feels that that army has too much firepower behind it. Kills off a few of these probes from the high ground once again. And the army supplies, well, I mean, they're evening up a little bit further here.
Which is dangerous, very dangerous for XiGua, especially the Colossus count. It's getting very, very high. He's starting another one. Look at the production tab. The workers killed 39 to 3. That means CranK has lost a lot of workers this game. He's on 58 against 67. If CranK maxes out, he cannot lose a fight anymore against this one composition, I think. Unless he does what we've seen. Who was it that moved in the middle? It was MC against Nurture. Like he moved on creep and got completely surrounded, everything got abducted. But in this case, his maxed out army would be so scary. And look, I guess he's on 174. He realized that his army right now is super, super strong, especially having Storm. Having Storm is a big deal.
Ooh, don't straight forwards with those Storms go down. A few pulls as well on these Colossi, but nothing really to help out with that. More Storms, that Colossus gets pulled right into the jaws of death as those Roaches and Hydralisks bring it down. This is...
wow, still a lot of energy on those Vipers. But not enough maybe on the ground. He needs reinforcements.
Needs to continue pulling. Gets one.
Grab and tag.
Grab and tag, man. Will he get another one? Goes for the high Templar. Gets that. There's a lot of High Templars there with feedback. Has to be very, very careful about this Viper positioning. The High Templars are a little bit out of position. Does grab one. Second one ends up falling. 4 more left. Can he bring those down? XiGua now is slowly being pushed out. Ultralisk cabin behind this. He's trying to buy himself time to actually tech up a little bit further. He has quite a good gas bank as well as mineral bank behind all of this. High Templars trying to move forwards towards this army. Very, very back and forth. Tug and war as a couple of these zealots will end up falling as well.
What is this dance we're seeing, man?
It's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Another feedback on one of those Vipers. Second one now moves into the fray, but a lot of those ground units got roasted up by those thermal lances. Pulls out an Archon forwards of all things. I mean, it's technically a very expensive unit.
It tanks quite a lot. And those drones, they're just standing there idle.
Another grab.
Wow, big grab.
Okay, how much energy does he have left on these Vipers? For like 1 or 2 more grabs there. So yeah, 1 or 2.
He needs to consume. Actually, that hatchery might end up dying if he's not careful. It's starting to be really low on hit
that's
points.
actually funny because I wondered why that hatchery was so low. I was like, that didn't get attacked anytime soon. And then it's like,
it did.
Yeah, good job, Vipers. Well done.
And XiGua's gonna try to re-expand there. The creep spread has been minimal, but at this point, it's not very important.
All right.
If he could get a good fight on creep, it would be nice, but I don't think he's ever going to reach all that often.
So many High Templars left here. Good Storm will clip a lot of that. He doesn't have the ability to really recharge up very quickly and burrow up because, you know, he's really pressed hit for time. He needs to do something with this. This army is gathering momentum here for CranK. Another grab goes forwards. 2 of them pull that Colossus, but they don't really do a whole lot at all. Those Colossi don't fall.
That's a big mistake.
Did he?
Hey, he has only two Vipers. That was his last grab. He could get chased down. CranK is being a little bit scared because he doesn't have all that much energy.
One more grab.
Oh, wow, he had one more.
Okay, but there's still 2 Colossi. He just doesn't have enough grabs. The Colossi keep coming.
Yeah, but this was super cost effective here. He's trading Roaches against Colossi.
Yes, all right.
Behind this, he can just remake a ton of units and army. 64 drones to 58 probes. And, well, XiGua actually is starting to be really mined out. At around his natural, he's transferred. Oh, wow, his 3rd base mined out before his natural.
It's such a shame for XiGua. Yeah, it's such a shame for XiGua that he doesn't have the bank, the mineral bank right now to transition over to Ultralisks as well as their, the upgrades for them. Because if he did, he'd be able to crush through this. One Ultralisk.
You think he can break him?
with this Roach Hydra?
XiGua actually can remax on ultras basically behind his looks. You see, he doesn't have much of a bank yet, but he's going to keep on building up because he's already maxed out. So I think he trades this army, then goes for a follow-up. Those Templars, they are his biggest threat right now. He's going to have to respect them a lot.
Spreading himself, that's a lot of high temps, you're right, but they were leading the charge initially. If they get caught out, if they're vulnerable, then they could die off pretty quickly. Roach is down to the south, doing a bit of damage to this third base as well, killing off probe after probe, really trying to limit CranK as best he can. And this pressure down to the left is actually very, very nice here by XiGua, because CranK has a hard time really abandoning that post up at the fourth base, and when he does, he gets left very vulnerable.
I think XiGua has done it at this point. He has way too much, and no Immortals against an Ultralist transition. Even if this is killed, the damage has been done by XiGua here.
All right, so now XiGua still playing out a very, very strong game. CranK trying to hold on.
He's going to go for an attack, I think.
Catches an Ultralist, that's a nice trade.
Oh, the Templars down there.
Oh no!
Getting chased down. Grab and tag.
They're so vulnerable. Morphs into Narco. You're really liking that one.
Catch and kill.
Catch and kill. Wow. Ooh, I like that one. That's cool. I'm going to use that. But yeah, again, it's kind of tired. I'm kind of tired, so maybe not right now. We have 5 extra Ultras being added on now. So this army now is really gathering a lot of speed.
Yeah, with that last base that XiGua took, he has enough of a mineral income to basically max out on Ultras. Ultras Vipers against this army, where there is a lone Immortal actually right now. I think CranK might be able to know this is coming somehow. He's anticipating, that's why he starts making Immortals. The thing is, there's going to be way too much, especially since XiGua doesn't have all that many drones. He's not on 90, so he's maxed out army supply. He's going to be 128 army supply to 96.
Oh, High Templars, you ran down the wrong neighborhood, my friends. You guys, you dropped the storms, but in the end, it's not really going to do a whole lot to those Roaches. An Ultralist! Oh, that really was grab and tag. That poor little Colossus died off very, very fast. It claws of these Ultralists, cleaving away at a lot of this, and a lot of it's even blind and clouded, so they're not really doing a whole lot of damage, but actually, you know, he's cleaning up more of it than I was expecting. A lot of Ultralists died off in this.
Yeah, the Templars were traded for a victory in that fight. The thing is, behind this XiGua, if you look at the production tab, he means business, man. He's even getting some Hydralisks and Roaches, which is a little bit surprising. I think Maxigant or Ultras here will seal the deal. CranK on that single base, doing some long distance mining on another one. He's gonna try to hold on a bit longer. And XiGua really brought it to CranK this game. This was very impressive.
Oh, they have no chitinous plating. These poor Ultralisks.
Poor Ultralists. Look at what they're about to do to these poor Stalkers.
Yeah, and that poor Immortal. He's like, no, I'm supposed to be Immortal. As now, these Ultralisks as well. Yeah, there we go. GG, XiGua, after a very, very hard-fought game, is able to tie up the series.
Not yet, guys. Not yet.
No. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, but... now that's good. We go into a game number 3 here to find out who's going to move on to the match to play against Bomber. But that could have gone a different way. I mean, I think CranK also thinks that could have gone a different way, because his resilience really stood the test of time for a long time in that game.
Wasn't enough, man.
No.
You think he needs to crank it up a notch? That's a red-eye joke.
Yeah, I was going to say. I'm like, I've heard this somewhere else before. All right.
It was interesting how late he identified the Hive, but still put up one hell of a fight.
Yeah.
The first set of feedback was very, very good, but overall, the economy of the Zerg was always too good that it didn't really matter. The idea with the Zealous run-by that he did across the map was very, very good, but he didn't target on the hatchery. I think if he had done that the one time that he sent it, instead of attacking the spines and he had sniped the hatch, he would have weakened the economy of XiGua enough to maybe get a win. But again, every one of those timings that XiGua hits were every single time just right before there was going to be too much for him to handle. And that I have to say that attack also by CranK, it did a lot of damage, but maybe if he had waited a little bit more and maxed out instead of fighting so much and trading, he would have been able to do better if he was actually maxed out.
Guys, someone get him a doctor. He's delirious. He's just laughing into his keyboard, and well, we're going to get into Oh, the last map's Ultrazine Stronghold. I forgot about that.
Oh, boy.
Okay, great fun. Hey, I did the laugh. Sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't even mean to.
The Kai's secret laugh.
Secret laugh?
You unlocked one of your laughs live on stream.
Fantastic. All right.
XiGua, this was a fairly solid game here out of him. And on a map like Alterzima, which plays, you could say, even more macro than Frost does, especially on close position, I think he's going to have a good chance, to be honest. As long as he doesn't get surprised by anything special that CranK could throw at him. I think XiGua is a very, very strong player in the late game in ZVP. If you let this guy go up to 10 gases, if you let any Zerg get up to 10 gases, you're in trouble. You're not going to win these games often. And in the previous game, actually it didn't happen because he didn't take the gases on his final base. But well, 8 gases is already very, very scary too.
Yeah, it is. It is. I like CranK's keyboard, actually. It's got an Axiom logo on it. And Axiom's actually now sponsored by r/Bitcoin, right? So Axiom, always...
Where are you going with this?
Nowhere in particular.
Okay.
I'm just having a nice chat. We're getting late in the night. We're getting late in the broadcast. I thought I would just converse with you, Todd.
Okay.
That's okay, right?
Let's converse.
Okay. Hi. Okay, so no, don't you like their keyboard?
You want me to grab and tag you or what?
No, man, no. Especially not catch and kill. Please, not that one. Look at it, man. It's a nice keyboard. It's got colourful things on it.
Oh, they're actually sponsored by WASD or something, WASD keyboard.
Yeah, that keyboard was made especially for the team. So it's like, actually, it comes like that.
I'm glad we see some good Zerg action, by the way. I feel like it's been too rare that we've seen good Zerg action in WCS America.
And it's been from our Chinese representatives.
Yeah, exactly. In Europe, we had Snoot and Vortex really delivering, going up to the round of 8. But now, these Chinese Zergs, man, they are the new generation. Jim and Max said who? Soon these guys are going to be the ones winning the tournament. Actually, Jim and Max said are still, I think, the top 2 right now. But XiGua and Tunming really playing very, very well so far in this tournament, even though Tunming wasn't able to make it. He impressed me a lot.
I mean, I love getting glimpses into how they play because I just don't get to see the Chinese guys that much. It's like when I'm casting German EPS, for example. It's really nice to see how...
You're so happy to get a glimpse into Goody's mind.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Actually, Goody's like doing pretty well in the German EPS as of late, which Terrans just didn't do well in the German EPS at all for a long time. And then Hero Marine and Goody now doing pretty well. But anyway, let's get into this last game of this series to find out who moves on to play against Bomber. It's going to be CranK versus XiGua, who was able to tie it up 1 apiece. And we loaded up onto Altrazim Stronghold of all maps to wrap it up. As we have spawning out to the top left-hand corner, our blue Protoss representing Team Axiom. It is CranK. And down to the bottom left, our red Zerg representing Invictus Gaming from China. It is XiGua.
Big map here to end the series on, and could be one of those epic games we've seen before. Remember Patience versus Jaedong? Very long game with lots of transitions. This is basically an invitation for this kind of stuff to happen, just because of all the expansions that are available on the map, and the way that's basically, if you play macro, it's just going to be a lot better than trying to cheese in most matchups, I would say. There is a few exceptions. PvP.
Thanks,
But even in PvP, you can definitely open more greedily on this map than others. And I'm guessing CranK is going to be opening with a Forge, probably with a Nexus first, considering the placement of his pylon. We've seen nowadays, it's funny how like this never used to happen. Like the first guy who ever put his pylon behind his middle line, everybody was like, what did you just do? This is unacceptable, never do it again. And now everybody does it. It's like the new thing, because you can put your buildings down there and they are going to be in a safe place, and you're going to have space somewhere else to build a lot of stuff as well. Having clean bases, I feel, is very important nowadays. Like intelligent building placements is very, very important in StarCraft with the level that everybody has reached.
Yeah, you don't want to block yourself off. You don't want to have really labyrinth-like bases to try and traverse around if you like get harassed, etc.
It does go for the gates. So very, very greedy build again here. This is not the first time we've seen this today. And okay, gonna go for the second pylon at least before going for the double gas. CranK is going for a scout with this. Not the earliest, not the latest. I like it. He's gonna be able to see what he's up against. And it's funny that both players, they got very fortunate because they're gonna scout each other as first.
Yeah, it's a good start for them.
Usually I feel a lot of people scout scout. Sorry, oh my god, it is indeed late.
Yeah, sorry, man.
They
Okay.
scout clockwise. You say clockwise, right?
Yes.
As opposed to counterclockwise. But
Yes.
now, CranK, he broke the trend with his pylon, and again with the scouting, he went the other way.
Good job, CranK. I like that. I'm glad he is a thinker, thinking outside the box.
Come on, it's random.
Look, don't take away from his amazing achievement that he just accomplished. And he's, you know, just sat over there. Look, even Funker now is checking out some doodads. What else have you got for us, Funker? There's like a little obelisk there. This one's a Zelnaga temple, I think. And here's a pylon. Here is a pylon currently being nibbled at by a few Zerglings and a drone. Sickest
He's just trying to
commentating ever.
He's just trying to delay that as much as possible. They're going to cancel last second. Only losing 25 minerals to delay that by quite a few seconds. And CranK, I'm surprised he hasn't started to wall off yet. He's going to do that just now. Links are already out, so if they were to run in his main, they will be able to run around for quite a while. Or I guess, since he went for Gateway after Nexus, he's already going to have a Sentry. He could start a Mothership Core as well. He's not Arthur, though. He's going to delay that at least a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Stargate.
Oh, he moved it. He was going to put it somewhere else.
Yeah, he was.
Should
Just
be a
hiding
tell.
it a little bit.
On this map, you need to be very careful for Mutas, because they are very, very deadly. It's very easy for Zerg to take a lot of bases, do Muta transition, and then if you don't see it coming as Protoss, you're basically dead instantly. So that makes Stargate play that much better on it, especially double or even triple Stargate later on. So opening with a single Stargate here, if CranK was to go for, say, like a third base, and then adds on additional Stargates,
What?
he's going to be able to make sure that he doesn't die to Mutas, or most of the time, because it can even still happen.
That lane got in, but he did not see the Stargate. So at least that's a good spot there for CranK to keep that in the dark for just a little bit longer. Of course, he'll probably end up making Phoenix, and then they'll reveal themselves. Oh, an Oracle is going to be the choice.
Yeah.
Actually, to start things off.
XiGua not having spotted anything here, I think he might be suspecting the gateways could be in the natural, just above the Nexus that's there. And he didn't want to sacrifice an Overlord to go there, so he's getting the safety Roach Run. I don't think he's going to go for a timing, especially on this map. It would never work. He's just getting that Roach Run, which just costs a little bit of money to make sure he doesn't die to any kind of 4-gate, 7-gate, anything like that.
At least for XiGua, one of the main mid-game goals here is like, once he sees his opponent getting a third, start pressuring that.
Yeah.
Very, very open. A lot of room for him to really do that.
XiGua has been doing a very good job of map presence, by the way. Already in previous game in which he was quite successful, he had a bunch of Overlords, Zerglings, all around the map, and now he's doing the same. If you look at his vision, he has units a little bit everywhere. He has 3 Overlords on different positions in the middle of the map, 2 Zerglings as well. And he's going to have to defend as well as possible against this. I think he loses at least 6 to 8 drones here.
This whole mineral line, unfortunately for him, as the Queen's just not killing it fast enough, and he gets out with 6 kills in total. So a good start here for CranK, because that Oracle can always dive back in later on and be a little bit annoying once again.
CranK wasn't macroing very well, by the way, behind this. He's now getting Robo plus Twilight at the same time. It's not PvT. Usually you do that in PvT to get Colossus plus Blink, but now I really have to wonder what is this for. I guess he wants to start +2. You definitely need some observer somewhere in there, and taking the third that he's taking at the time he's taking it at, he's definitely going to have choices of what he can go into. I guess he's actually going to have enough gas to do both. Take from the Twilight with the +2 and Blink and go for Colossus, just because he has that third that early. We'll see how quickly he takes the gases there.
And at least this Hallucinated Oracle, most importantly, spots the Spire. Starts +1 weapons instantly. Where are our extra Stargates? He's already started the Phoenix as well. So I think with XiGua having that spotted so early, and he should have probably realized it was spotted so quickly.
I wonder how many Phoenixes he's going to make. This is... Having an Oracle to manage is already difficult. Now he's going to have an Oracle. Phoenixes, Robo, Twilight, he's doing everything at the same time.
Well, as I said, all of that, like, he starts the Hydralisk then as soon as his Spire got spotted. So I think this is the right response from XiGua. But even though, you know, he's going to be going up against potential Robo. If
+1 error upgrade, by the way.
Yeah.
Why is this?
I guess he wants to really deal with the Mutas. Like, I guess actually
Yeah,
no.
but just off one Stargate, then you will at least get more Stargates. I know Phoenixes come out quickly when they're chrono boosted, but this is a bit weird to me. Anyway.
Yeah, like I guess he's like trying to compensate for the fact that he hasn't thrown down extra Stargate, so he wants the extra the Phoenix that he's going to have to be a little bit more powerful.
You know, Genius used to do that back when he got to the finals of GSL against Don Regu.
Oh, yeah.
He was making Phoenixes out of 1 Stargate. He got the +1. And, well, back then the Mudas were quite different. They actually lost hit points and didn't regenerate in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, those were the days, eh, Todd? Those.
And they didn't have the sick acceleration.
They're pretty good at the moment. They are very, very good for Zerg. And a little bit of a poke out down to the bottom left with these Zerglings, trying to get something done. Did force a little bit of gas timing, mining to be denied for a second. But
the Oracle is doing a very good job of scouting. He's staying across the map, making sure it can use Revelation in case there was units hanging in there. And he's going to have to be careful not to lose it, as there is 10 Hydralisks and 4 Corruptors on the way. I have to wonder, what is this for, XiGua? Is he going to commit to some kind of attack with Roach Hydra Corruptor? This is definitely not the best way, in my opinion, to play in this situation. If you look at the force base that he took, it's the one closer to his opponent's base that he could have taken. And he's going to have some creep spread almost reaching that already, so...
I think he is going to do this. I actually think he's just going to go with Roach Hydra Corruptor and try and pin his opponent down in that third base, because technically...
You think with 1-1? Oh, he's hiding the Corruptors. Look at where he rallied them.
Yeah. Huh.
If an hallucination... Oh, double hallucination is on the way.
Gonna spot him. Oh, he's trying to run them away. He's trying to run the Corruptors away from this.
Run, guys, run. There's
You're not
no
that fast.
Oh, they stop to shoot real Overlords when they are fake Phoenixes.
Oh, scary. Okay. So you did keep them hidden.
Yeah, this is going to be a surprise, but is it enough? There is +2 up for CranK. He's going to have Blink by the time this hits. No Colossus out, though. The first one is almost there. 2 Immortals. The army supply right now, 70 to 106. The thing is, Photon of a Charge really going to help. And XiGua is taking his sweet time. I think he saw the Observer. Oh, it's just above. I think CranK might be able to realize what he's up against here. His Observer is getting chased down.
He's actually not
he sees a lot of army. Again. He looks. He did not see the Corruptors just yet, but he saw this big army. So I think right now he knows. He's already starting to move his army himself.
I mean, at this time in the game, there has to be an answer for Colossi.
He's going to send double hallucination. This is actually a mistake, because he needs to save energy for Force Fields and Guardian Shield.
Yeah, and he needs a lot of them, because again of that area. Depending on where XiGua is actually going to push in from.
Oh, the Oracle. Save the boy.
Revelation is useful. There we go. Okay, so he's
going to
he's going to try and push in those Corruptors, trying to fly. Oh, he actually saves the Colossus Armor on the left-hand side. He doesn't actually bring it into the fight for a little bit here, does CranK.
Yeah, great Force Fields.
Wow.
He's basically already defended that just with that one set of Force Fields here, making sure he wasn't trading too badly against this army. He's even chasing down.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, for CranK to just pull those Colossi back and say, actually, I'm not going to need these during that fight, that was really cool by CranK.
He's going to get a 15 minutes, no, 15, sorry, minutes +3, which is great against a Zerg who's basically just started 2-2. So, max out. Against a tier 2 Zerg army, it's simple. If there is no Swarmhost, you max out, you attack, and you profit. It's that simple. So at this point, this timing, the clock is running against XiGua. This timing had to do a lot of damage. He didn't do any damage. CranK, he's about to be maxed out. He's going to have +3. I think he just attacks, he hands it. I don't see any way this can go otherwise.
These Corruptors are going to have to do a lot of work. They might catch that Mothership Core first. Time Warp to slow this down, but not the most effective Time Warp for an engagement that's going to come later on. As we now have... Is there a third Colossus with this army now? I think there is. This is a lot of firepower that CranK has behind this. Maxed out against maxed down. And those Stalkers, if they want to, can go to work on these Corruptors pretty quickly. One of the Colossus does fall very fast under the firepower of these Corruptors, but still, the ground army is melting. There's a lot of Stalkers. He blinks forwards into this army. It's even in terms of supply, with those Hydralisks being reinforced into, but...
Yeah, the Protoss is the one with the bank at this point, so...
It's good.
With the Hive on the way, I think XiGua is definitely hoping to be able to reach some sort of Viper, but CranK's not going to let that happen. Look, even saving that one Stalker here. He has a proxy pylon towards that force base of his opponent. If he takes that out, it's going to be over. Some Zealots were actually in that third base in the meantime, but didn't get to do too much damage. And this attack looks so scary.
It's all about the Stalkers, it's all about the blink, and CranK's probably just going to be able to control this well. Coming in from the bottom side here with these Roaches and Hydralisks to try and clean up a lot of this, but blinking back effectively is CranK, pushing this away. Really wants this base, but he's got to be careful about pinning himself down there.
Yeah. CranK, as good as his army is, he doesn't have any Guardian Shield here, but I think he's going to have too much anyway. Look at his economy. He's rewarping in Stalkers 8x8.
Right into the fight as well. Perfect for him. Catching any corrupts as he can on the retreat out whilst Colossi reinforce is going to be great. Oh, a little bit of a poke out from the right-hand side.
Yeah, a poke. That's the right poke.
Yeah.
He actually didn't do anything.
Not at all. The corruptors finish off the job, and now these Stalkers, they're just in critical mass. It's going to be difficult for XiGua to really deal with this. As long as CranK controls this effectively, army supply now swinging in favor of CranK, and the blink forwards aggressively to try and catch out as many of these Hydralisks as possible. There's 12 Roaches reinforcing, but they're just not going to do anything against these Stalker numbers.
Yeah, the Stalkers are even in the middle of those bases, so they're catching off reinforcements all the time, and CranK has done it here. He's going to get a chance to qualify versus Bomber, which sounds pretty hard.
Yeah, it's no small feat by any means, but keeps his hopes alive here in the round of 16 for himself and for Team Axiom. As well, Leash
it's funny how we say like that it's basically already over. There is a lot of supply for the Zerg, but yeah, I don't think
it's just too many Stalkers.
Yeah, it's so many Stalkers. Too much DPS, you know, in the words of the great wise man Dimaga.
Yeah.
There's this many Stalkers.
Not gonna be able to kill them off. They stay alive for quite a while. Yay, the Oracle falls, but the blink forwards to surround this entire Zerg force. They feel helpless and trapped as CranK now really turns up the heat onto this third base, and that's going to fall down. GG, congratulations to CranK for cracking the nut of XiGua, and he now advances on to play against Bomber for our last round of 8 spot.
Can't believe you just used cracking after all the talk about the cracker matches, man.
It was intentional. But yeah, there you go.
Very good match by CranK. Even in the one game that he lost, if you think about it, he put up one hell of a fight. Being behind, he was under assault all the time. He was doing good feedbacks, great army management the entire time, and in the end, just too solid against a XiGua who really got... What was the term that you used earlier when you were talking about a Zerg who got stuck on Roach Hydra Corruptor?
You were stuck in the mid game?
Yeah, stuck in, I don't know, it was something specific, like very specific, where you were basically saying that some players, they get forced and forced into going into like Mass Tier 2 and they get stuck there with Roach Hydra Corruptor, which you never want to happen to you.
No.
Like the only moment you want to go for Roach Hydra Corruptor is like in a special cases where like you did a lot of damage and you're like, I'm just going to finish this guy off with some Tier 2. But in this kind of game against a player as good as CranK, who by the way, I think he has some of the best chrono boosts on his Forge out of all the Protosses. CranK is one of those guys that always get his +2 very quickly. His +3 follows it up a lot of the time, unless he's in trouble like he was on Polar Knights, on Frost, sorry. And then he has to skip on that sometimes. So I guess that's the way to beat him. You trade against him, you're like, you cannot start +3 because you're losing units, and then you win it in the late game. But even that was one hell of a fight by both players on Frost for XiGua to be able to make this work.
All right, and now that means we have our final series confirmed. It's going to be CranK versus Bomber to find out who moves on to the round of 8. And we'll have that match coming up very, very soon. But now, over to Paul.
Thanks very much, guys, with Rotterdam right now. So the Protoss advances to the last game of the evening and the last game of the round of 16. Were you surprised by the result and by the way that he actually achieved it? You know, second game in particular, such a crazy long game that I thought XiGua could have won that a long time ago. I had to go back out of the studio and come back in, and I was like, oh damn it, I'm going to miss the last bit. But it looked so certain. I was pretty sure he'd won and it was going to be 1-1. I came in 15 minutes later and he's still playing game 2. I'm like, why hasn't he won this game yet?
I was screaming over there while I was watching the game on the TV. I was like, abduct. No, that big unit that shoots lasers, just abduct it. It took indeed a while, but it was a pretty entertaining game. He made it closer than it should have been. But I think the overall thought of the series is exactly what we were talking about before the series when he asked me, so who do you think? And I was like, well, I think it's really close. The statistics are going to show that it's close. XiGua is obviously quite okay in this matchup. Even though he has like his own style, he definitely plays different than the European Zergs or even than some of the Korean Zergs. But he gets a lot of practice in the matchup, so I knew it wasn't going to be easy for CranK, and well, that showed. It was a long series, some back and forth action, but some entertaining games.
When people look at this on Wikipedia or wherever they check out the results, they're going to look at the group results and they're going to go, huh, XiGua fourth in the group, yeah, that sounds about right. Pulp top of the group, yeah, that sounds about right. But that's not the real story here, is it?
No, always. I mean, you can't just go off results. Often you see series that end 2-0, but they are much closer than series that end 2-1 either way. XiGua put up a pretty good fight today. Polt was just a little too good. He did well against CranK, but CranK also having more experience. Let's not forget, guys, this is the first time that XiGua went to Europe for a tournament. He did play, of course, in WCG back then in Busan, but that's still very close to home, you know, Korea, China. That's not very far. So this was obviously quite a journey for him. I think there's nothing to be ashamed of. WCS America Premier League round of 16. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Letot would take it.
Letot's been in the Premier League, I might.
But not round of 16, there's no way.
Not quite round of 16. Although he gets to every final in WCS so far.
Because he took the easy way out.
Yes.
I know all about that.
Okay, so we've got one more game to go. It's going to be Bomber in action against CranK. CranK's still in the hunt for this one. He's going to have to turn it around from the first time, though.
Yes, but also, let's not forget the game on Frost. It was a pretty close game. It wasn't that easy. So I definitely think that Bomber is probably sweating it a little bit. Let's not forget it's been a long day for all of us. Of course, big shout out to all of our viewers for you guys sticking with us for this long. But it's been a long day for us as the host. But above all, as a player, this right now, this single best of 3 is the most important best of 3 Bomber and CranK are going to play in quite a while, in months even. So you're going to have to give it all. But still, it's hard, you know, which player is more affected by the fact that it's this late? Is it Bomber who had some rest, or does that work against you because you get tired? Is CranK like, okay, at least I have some winning spirit now, I just played 2-3 games, they were kind of long, but we all know how it is, like once you start playing games, you know, like late at night, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., it all feels the same. So maybe it actually works for CranK that he didn't have to wait as long as Bomber did.
All right, thank you very much, Rotterdam. We are going to take a quick break before our final match of the evening. It's also our final match of the round of 16. And don't forget, coming up right after this match is the draw for the round of 8 for WCS America Season 1. Please stay tuned.